Yeah, let's dive a little bit more into that use case of how AI can be that remediation copilot, particularly in use cases of cloud security. So, we have this graphic which illustrates that AI and generative AI will be used both by threat actors and cybersecurity professionals alike, right? So it will create new challenges, but it will also definitely help make us more efficient as cybersecurity practitioners, right? It helps scale the capabilities of our teams so we can do more with less resources. It solves the cold start problem, like Sandeep was talking about, in terms of how we enhance our cybersecurity posture. But ultimately, the two use cases that we're going to really focus on throughout this webinar today are prioritization of remediations and accelerating and making more efficient kind of that resolution loop and time. But, Yogesh, as you've kind of encountered a whole new, brave new world out there of AI kind of exploding like it has, particularly over the last 2 years at the scale it has. What are some of the ways in which you feel that AI will be useful to you as a security practitioner? And are you like starting to evaluate that with vendors, right? As a feature set or as an enhancement of their capabilities at all?
Yeah, so I'll take up the second question first, right? The vendor, AI is like a storm and it's, just flooding everything, right? So when you look at the vendor landscape, there's hardly anybody who is saying that they are not doing AI. So, there's a lot of noise there in terms of, really figuring out and trying to find products that are truly and accurately leveraging AI to reduce some kind of pain point, right? So pretty much every vendor out there is kind of leveraging AI. But really, I mean, I think AI can be used, or the bullet points that you have on the right side of your screen for all of those things very accurately, right? We talked about IVSS, the internal vulnerability scoring system, to get the right kind of context. But if you think about attack detection, response, and remediation, which is the last point, right? Imagine, historically until now, the way that world operates is there is a static run book, right? So somebody writes down a list of steps in a wiki page or a document, and then a junior analyst is opening that up when there is an alert, and then he's going through that steps. Now, that probably worked 20 years back when networks were static and the architecture was static. As we just, talked about before, it's all auto scaling, dynamically changing, interconnected, interdependent, multi-cloud complex environment, right? So there is no way to have that runbook kind of be that static. The runbook has to be dynamic. And how do you have a dynamic runbook, right? So the only way to do that, it's a knowledge problem, right? The knowledge is changing. You need a system that can parse through a complex set of knowledge base, and maybe on the fly come up with a run book for a particular issue and say, look, like based on what we currently see in the network and in the system, and how all the pieces fit together, we think this is the run book and this is what a security analyst should do. Now, I think that's really the holy grail. It's easy to talk about and difficult to solve and optimize for. But really, I think the first place where AI could immediately solve a need is to really move tier one to AI, right? Where the tier one tasks, at least the investigative pieces of getting everything together, is being done by AI.
No, that's definitely true. And I think we'll see a lot of those functions, just like we've seen lower level functions and other operational areas across the business get kind of eaten up by AI. That would be certainly one of the first areas to go. But, like you said, there's a lot of noise, but there's still a long way to go for a lot of vendors in this space of their adoption of AI. So, Sandeep, why did you all, as a vendor, start with those last two areas, which are prioritization and acceleration of resolution time? It seems like those are kind of basic building blocks, but maybe that's the point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, prioritization of scan results, be it vulnerability, be it cloud misconfigurations, be it secrets, or be it malware. I think that is that is a day zero need of every security team, cloud security team, right? So it really starts there. You do that, you scan your infrastructure, you prioritize, you fix what has to be fixed immediately. And everything really comes after that, right? Like, runtime detection and protection, and everything else really comes. That's really the fundamental building block. Prioritization is the biggest problem within that, which is what we're really trying to address, right, with threat graph. And of course, accelerating the resolution time, really, right, or remediation time, essentially. That's where we are trying to optimize that bit by having LLMs, right, come to our rescue there by reducing that operational burden, removing that cold start problem. Yogesh said it very, very accurately, which is static run books. Nothing about your job now with static. The infrastructure is moving, the traffic is continuously changing, and vulnerabilities are getting reported every hour. So how can you rely on a static run book? And that's where you need something which parses, groks this really complex knowledge base and helps you on the fly. And that's where we are basically adding that. And why essentially for prioritization and reducing resolution time? Because these are the two most severe problems cloud security teams are facing. So we're starting there.
No, I mean, I think we see it every day in the business, right? A lot of companies or vendors are focusing on the scale of their detections, but yet the OWASP top 10 stayed the same for 20 years. We still get popped by 0-day vulnerabilities. People still take 49 days to patch. We haven't solved the fundamentals yet of cloud security. So even the more advanced capabilities are going to stumble and falter a little bit if we can't, prioritize effectively and actually go address the things that we find or detect, right, in a meaningful or efficient way.
Watch the entire webinar at deepfence.io/resources.